ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. Welcome to the segment of Code Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation for today, Dhanasari Mahalla Pehla, composition of the first Nanak, and the recitation. Dhanasari Mahalla Pehla, Chor Salahe Chit na Bhijai, ਜੇ ਬੱਦੀ ਕਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਤਸੂ ਨ ਛਿਜੈ. ਚੋਰ ਕੀ ਹਾਮਾ ਪਰੇ ਨ ਕੋਏ, ਚੋਰ ਕੀਆ ਚੰਗਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਹੋਏ. So Guruji here is metaphorically talking about a chor, thief, and the pointer is to the ego. So when a thief offers praise or practices virtue, Chor Salahe Chit na Bhijai, it does not make an impression on the mind. What it means is that the action is counterfeit. It is not genuine. That's the whole thrust of the sabad. Je baddi kare ta tasu na chijjai. And when it engages in evil, here the thief is the ego. Je baddi kare, it suffers not any regret. Tasu na chijjai. Tasu na chijjai literally means, to chijna means to shred, to break. But the thief, it does not really matter. It remains the same. There isn't a moment of regret. In other words, it doesn't shred even in the slightest bit. Chor ki hama. Hama is a surety. It's like standing surety for someone. Pare na koi. No one stands surety or guarantees for a thief. And how can a thief's actions be called good? Chor kiya changa kyun hoye? So this is an illustration of the degenerate ego as a thief. It is crooked and engages in counterfeit. It pretends to be virtuous. Chor Salahe Chit na Bhijai. It pretends to be virtuous, but actually isn't. It feels no remorse when it engages in evil, but it has to suffer its consequences alone. No one is going to come stand surety. So the bottom line is that the ego is engaged in massive self-deception. It wears a moral camouflage. But the Guru is saying, no amount of clever speech, ritual, pretense can really sanctify a corrupt inner state of the mind. The inner judge is not impressed. And now here, in the Rahau, the Guru is merciless in calling out the mind, the ego mind. Surn, listen. Man andhe, blind. Kutte, like a dog. Kudyar, you're chasing falsehood. You're like a dog chasing falsehood. Bin bole, without uttering a word. Bhijai, satyara, the satyara, the one who has discovered the truth about itself, who lives an integrated life, a satyara, the ideal in Gurbani. One can recognize that without that individual having to even utter a word. Their very presence will tell you that this person is a satyar. So the mind is being rebuked for chasing after fleeting images like a dog, restless, unthinking, and enslaved to desire. So what is also being said is that discernment of the truth does not come through speech or outward display, but binabole. It comes through an inner stillness, direct awareness. So the Rahau is actually contrasting reactive, compulsive behavior like a dog chasing its tail and awakened consciousness, which perceives the truth in silence. This is something that you will experience, that the more awakened you are, the more silent you become. And more on the thief, the ego. Chor Sualyo, Chor Siana, Chor Swalyo. The thief may appear very beautiful, and indeed the ego can adorn itself. Chor Siana, and appear very wise. Khote ka mool ek dugana, but its value may also appear doubled, but dugana, that's where this comes from. Je saath rakhiye dije ralaye. If you mix it with others, that is to say, with other coins, but it's referring to the ego, but when tested, jab parkhiye, it is found to be worthless. Khota hoye jaye. So the ego thief is clever, it's cunning, it inflates its self-worth, it creates illusions of superiority or accomplishment. And they're clever enough to double the illusion. And like counterfeit currency, it shines brighter than gold, but it holds no inherent worth. So when you preserve the ego, jisat rakhiya, and you mix it, here it is mixing it with your actions, it corrupts. And when tested, proves unworthy. So you cannot preserve the ego and hope to act without corruption. Jaisa kare, so taisa pave, aap beej aape hi khave. So here's the old saying about as one acts, so one gets in return. We sow the seed and we reap the harvest. This is a causal world. The law of causation operates. If one reaps virtues, jevadiyanya, one alone enjoys them, appe khai. According to one's awareness, jehi surat, teha rah jaye, and that path you will follow. So here, the law of moral causation, reciprocity. Every action arises from consciousness and then returns to shape consciousness. It's a loop. Our experience mirrors our state of awareness and vice versa. And through the choices we make, we create or rather recreate ourselves. And the ego, if it glorifies itself, it is consuming its own merit. So inner transformation and external success, the two have to be balanced. And then the last verse, Je so kudiyan kud kabad, pame sabaya kho sansar, tud pave adhi parwan, nanak jane, jaan sujan, je so kudiyan. Where 100 falsehoods piled up into a heap of rubbish, je so kudiyan kud kabad. And even if the whole world approves, bhave sab aakho sansar, it doesn't matter. The ego can adorn itself. What pleases the self, tuddha bhava, that alone is acceptable. Adhi parwan, adhi, even if it is a bit. And Nanak jane, Nanak knows, Jan Sujan, that the all-knowing one, it knows. So social approval, consensus is meaningless when you measure it against the truth. Falsehood, falsity, the ego, even when it multiplies and celebrates, it will remain false. Only what aligns with hukam, tuddha bhava, has real sanction. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.